It's long overdue that we talk about this. Mental illness has existed from time in memoriam, from the time that the first human beings were created on this planet. There are an estimated 310 million people living in the United States right now. We also know that an estimated 50 to 60 million of those people are living each and every day with some form of mental illness. On any given day in the state of Massachusetts alone, there are an estimated 40,000 young people who suffer from depressive episodes that last 2 weeks or more. Short of the common cold, there are few, if any, illnesses in our society that affect and impact as many people as does mental illness.
Well, I lost my wings, now I can't fly, like a grounded plane falling from the sky.
The first time I tried committing suicide, I was 13 years old. I took a whole bunch of pills and I said, I'm just ending it right here. I've had enough. I can't do this anymore. Luckily, I woke up. I grew up and everyone would always tell me, you're never going to go to college. You're not going to be able to handle the stress, the pressures. It's just not going to happen. Just get out of your head. My mom she took my diary one day and she was reading through it and reading everything that everyone's telling me. And she actually brought me to a therapist and it came out that I had bipolar disorder.
I'm an engineering student here at Monty Tech. I am a senior. I'm about to graduate in a matter of days. I suffer from bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety. At the time, when it first started, I had no idea. I had figured it was just the teenage experience, growing up, being nervous, trying to find a place to fit in. Something just wasn't adding up. I knew that if things did not change, something bad was either going to happen to me or I was going to snap and something bad was going to happen to somebody close to me. My lowest point, I was drinking every day. Copious amounts. Suicide was not something I thought about, it was something I had written down and planned.
My depression first surfaced when I was about 12. My grandfather had recently passed and I noticed I was getting sad and it was starting to interfere with my life. I had gotten to the point where I was no longer interested in school and school had always been a priority. I battled my depression internally and I was ashamed because I didn't know any better.
My experience with mental illness began in 1977. I was a senior in high school, at the top of my class and ready to go on to a great career, college and a life that I had anticipated and was very excited to enjoy. And in February, I experienced classic symptoms of manic depression. Today it's known as bipolar disorder. I was told by a psychiatrist who was among the best respected in the region where I lived in Massachusetts, this was 1977, that I might never go to college. I might never have a good career, a decent job. I might never get married. I might never have a family. I might never own a home. In short, it's possible that I might never achieve any of the goals, any of the dreams that I had anticipated for my entire early life.
Michael is the youngest child of 3. He is my younger brother. Michael was always excelling at everything that he did. He was president of his class, he was captain of the football team, he was an All-American, he was editor of the school paper. Every sport that he played, he excelled at. And he was also diagnosed with clinical depression when he was 18 years old and suffered a great deal. Chose Harvard to go to school. Went to Harvard and did very well, actually. Left Leominster and went to California to work for Sun Microsystems and did very well out there for a little while, but as depression often does, it comes in cycles, and he has now been missing for 11 years.
Our mission has evolved over time that Instead of looking at the big umbrella of mental illness, we wanted to look at the impact on young people. And we did that specifically because we know that half of lifetime cases of mental illness begin by age 14.
We would be getting the problem early. So some of the research that we've learned, if you can intervene at an early age when a mental illness first manifests itself, you can really have a significantly positive impact on the rest of that person's life.
You're beating a stereotype before it ever becomes a stereotype. And in fact, you're creating the entire opposite stereotype of this is something we just need to talk about.
The most destructive thing is that there's stigma and there's shame. There's a sense, like there used to be maybe 20 years ago about cancer, that this is not something you can talk about in public. This is something that if it affects you or affects someone that you're close to, that you have to keep secret. And it really creates isolation and has its own very significant adverse effect on how people function and how they manage with the challenges that they face. Shine really is all about recognizing strengths and promoting resiliency and fighting stigma, fighting the sense that if you have a mental health challenge or problem, that means you can't make it in the world. You
can live a full, productive, happy life with a mental illness, just like if you had diabetes. Diabetes is a chronic problem. If you don't treat it, you're going to have significant health issues. But if you get the right care and you are informed as a patient, you'll do the right things, and then you can live a productive life. The same for mental illness.
We get calls virtually every week at the Shine Initiative from parents saying to us, can you help us? Can you refer us to a mental health provider in the community? I have a son or a daughter who is in crisis. We've reached out to some folks, we know of some clinicians, but we've been told that yes, we'll see your child in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. Whenever I hear that, I say to folks, consider that you would walk into a hospital ER with a broken arm or in cardiac arrest or suffering from pneumonia and being told by an attending physician, can you remain on that cot for the next 6 weeks or 12 weeks? And if you're still with us in that time, we'll try to work you in. We wouldn't do that, but we do that with mental illness. That needs to change in our communities and in our society.
When you see a broken arm, you go, oh yeah, that's a broken arm. We don't have that awareness about behavioral health problems and about mental illness. And oftentimes people want to just sort of shy away from it. Mental health issues continue to be marginalized by our healthcare system, and how insurers separate treatment of mental illness and treat it differently from how they treat physical illness.
And it's really driven largely by an imbalance in the flow of revenue. The laws that have been passed to create parity between mental health care and physical health care haven't really translated, not even close really, into the money flow into these hospitals and caregivers. We need to send this message to the folks who can influence that.
When you say things to me like prior authorization or limited stays or a limited number of inpatient days you're allotted, that really doesn't say to me that we're taking care of the whole person, that we're only taking care of an acute part of their illness.
The whole goal today of the Shine Initiative is to make sure that people throughout this country realize that mental illness is a mainstream health issue.
We started a 5K several years ago. We decided to team with the Shine because we thought the Shine Initiative was doing everything that we knew needed to be done to help families like ours.
The Shine Initiative has really allowed us to provide services to our children that without the Shine Initiative we would not have been able to do such. Being able to provide the staff development the first year, and also bring parents in and work with parents, and also have an adjustment counselor, someone on staff during the week, has been just great for us.
Community Health Link, which is a local provider of behavioral health services, has arranged to have some of its staff trained in teaching mental health first aid. We have certified instructors, and we've been fortunate to partner with the Shine Initiative on this effort. The Shine provides funding for these training sessions, and then we provide them for people in the local community through their place of work or through civic organizations. It's been a very exciting initiative.
We have 18 cities and towns that feed into Monty Tech, 26 to 30 middle schools depending on the year. But we know that we're in a unique position to do a lot of outreach to North Central Massachusetts.
We had the opportunity to exchange dialogue and opinion with 1,400 high school students. That school now wants to create a mental health awareness program. The SHINE initiative provided them with seed money recently in the form of a grant so that they could develop that.
We've seen over 200 students in the past 2 years that have stepped up and been willing to receive services, so we want to make sure we can provide those services.
The staff here in the guidance office of Monty Tech have actually been hands down the largest support group that I have ever been to. I went and I talked to them numerous times, my sophomore, junior, and my senior year. And they are more than patient and understanding.
Matt's a great student and a great kid, and I think part of that is just his desire to persevere through every situation.
Without them, I would not be here today, in the literal 100% meaning. I owe this school everything.
I secured a part-time position with Assumption College, and I was able to do that through the Genesis Club. They arranged for a part-time position for me, and that grew into a 3/4 time position and then a full-time position. And it was during that time that I met the woman who would later become my wife. And I had waited some 46 years to meet the right one. Some would say that's a long time, and it is. But it was worth waiting for, and she's someone who accepts me for who I am. I wish I had this information when I was 17 years old, but I'm happy to be able to tell you today that the information is available to you right now.
It takes a lot of courage to come out there and just talk openly about mental illness, especially.
Destiny is a remarkable young lady. She actually said, I want to be part of the SHINE initiative movement. I want to be part of that conversation. I want to go out into the community with you.
Hearing people go on stage and tell their story, honestly, it brought tears to my eyes, realizing that I was not the only one.
We're very proud of her. She, upon graduation from Holy Name, was awarded a scholarship to Anna Maria College. In her freshman year, she is an honors student, and she speaks with such conviction and confidence that we're only too eager and proud to include her in the conversation.
I knew I had places to go if I felt like I was in a crisis. I knew I had the counseling services that they provided at any time. You can graduate from college. The only thing that's stopping you is the slight hurdles in your life, but you can overcome them.
There's some reason for me to be here, and I think that's to help people, to tell my story, because I don't want another child to have to go through what I did.
Anyone at all, I encourage you, I implore you to reach out and ask for help, because that is not only the hardest step, but it is the most necessary and the first step you have to take in order to recover.
You can't just give up the fight, that you can win, because I did. I'm still fighting, but it's working. I'm winning so far. So.